A very good morning to everyone. My name is Prem Maheshwaran. I am a ServiceDesk Plus product expert. I warmly welcome you all to ServiceDesk Plus Masterclass. Masterclass is a training webinar series specially designed to cater the needs of the IT teams of all maturity. This is an 8-part series that covers all the modules of the Enterprise Edition of ServiceDesk Plus on-premises. Starting today, 12th April 2018, we will have 2 classes every month till 19th July 2018. Duration of each class is 1 hour and it will be conducted thrice a day at 11 a.m. Singapore time, Greenwich Mean Time and Pacific Daylight Time. Check the ServiceDesk Plus Masterclass registration page to know the schedule. I encourage you all to register, learn and turn yourself into a Masterclass ServiceDesk Plus expert. Happy learning! So today the discussion is about Service Catalog. Showcase your IT services to the business. The agenda of today's discussion is Introduction to Service Catalog. Let's take a look at why Service Catalog is required for an IT operation. I have got a fresh installation of ServiceDesk Plus, so we are going to see how we can build service request templates and publish it in the self-service portal for the business. The workflow configuration, the approval, notification, and escalation configuration of Service Catalog, and then how you can work with service requests, the IT team, how can they operate with service requests. And finally, we'll have a Q&A session, a question and answer session. Let us first take a look at why Service Catalog is required. Conventionally, we use the email mode of request creation or phone calls, and we tend to use the incident templates to handle service requests as well. But using incident templates, with which you don't use all the advantages of the Service Catalog. Making use of Service Catalog, you can promote self-service, you can publish the templates to the self-service portal and ask the users to fill it up and submit the request with right information. Second point is right information. Most of the times, when you process service request via email, there is always loss of information or the wrong information is communicated to the IT team. So we may have to clarify it over emails or on phone calls. So that delays the delivery of service. Service Catalog has a built-in automated workflow configurator. Making use of this, you can configure the workflow and also deploy it right away. Finally, collaboration with specialist groups. So to deliver huge service requests, you may have to collaborate with multiple departments. So with ServiceDesk Plus, you can create specialist groups, delegate the work to different subspecialist groups, and get the work done. Now, let us take a dive into the product. This is a fresh installation of ServiceDesk Plus, and I am going to log in as an end user. So when I log in as a user, this is how the portal is going to look like. So in the home page, I get a summary of the requests that I have created, an option to submit new requests, a portal usage, policy free area where you can write your policies and also publish a video on how to use this portal. That way, educating the end users on portal usage becomes easy. All they have to do is take a look at the video and straight away the knowledge is given to the end users so that they can start utilizing the portal. And also there is a section for announcements. Using this section, end users can know about known outages. So if you have a maintenance schedule, an announcement can be published to the end users directly in the portal. And if they have to, if they are not knowing about the outage, and if they come to this page, they will know it already. That way we can reduce the volume of requests created for known outages. And also, solutions which are published will be available for end users here. This promotes self-help. End users can search the solutions, apply it, give it a shot, and if it doesn't work, then they can go ahead and create a request. That way, making use of Service Catalog and Self-Service Portal will enable users to help themselves first, and also gives complete control on the status of the request that they have created. Now let us see how a user can go ahead and create a new service request. In the home page, there is a request catalog. When I click on it, I can see the different service categories under which a user can submit an incident or a service request. Now these categories can be created in the admin section. So let us see how we can add one more category to this section, for which I'm going to log in as an administrator. So this is the administrative console of the Enterprise edition of ServiceDesk Plus. So Service Catalog is built in or available out of the box in the Enterprise edition of ServiceDesk Plus. So if you have a professional or the standard edition of ServiceDesk Plus, you may have to procure it as an add-on. Now in the admin section, under Service Catalog, you have got the option Service Categories. So this is where you can add new categories. So in addition to the already available categories, I'm going to create a new service category. When I go to create a new service category, I've got two options. One is an IT service category. Another one is a business service category. Business-centric services like email can be created as a business service category. IT-centric services such as application-dependent services, for example SAP, can be created as IT service category. Now when I go to create a new IT service category, I can provide the name. For this example, I'm going to make use of the example SAP. I can provide the service support hours, the technician who manages this service, the business impact which will be used in CMDB, the incident restoration target, cost, availability, the department to which it services to. So in my case, it is going to service to the engineering department. And the business criticality can be updated. Once that is done, I can also set up an icon for this new service category. I can either choose from the available set of icons or upload a custom icon. That way I have created a new service category. So this is how I can add new categories to the request catalog. Now once a new category is created, now I can go ahead and create a template under the category. To do that, let us go to the service catalog section in the admin panel and add a new service. So for this example, instead of SAP, it would be more relevant if I use an asset template or a new hire template. So let me make use of the new hire template. Let us go back to Service Catalog, expand User Management, and out of the box, there is a new hire template already available. Let us edit and take a look at how it is configured to work with. So when I edit the request template, you have got the canvas or the designer where you can customize the form to gather information from end users. So in this form, there are some default attributes available which are available out of the box. For example, category, subcategory, level, mode, etc. are available out of the box. In addition to the default attributes, if I would like to gather specific information from end users, like what is the required date by which this service has to be delivered, if that is the case, I can also add additional fields. So to add an additional field, all I have to do is drag and drop add new additional field section into the form. Once it is done, an option is given to me to choose the data type of the additional field. I've got the option to choose a single line, a pick list, where it will give you a drop-down menu of items, a multi-line if the information is going to be bigger, like shared folder path, numeric inputs, for age inputs, etc. Date and time is the case in which I'm going to use. So I'm going to add one for required date. Once it is saved, the new field is created. So in addition to creating additional fields, it is also possible to share an additional field with incidents. If you're using an additional field for incident templates, the same field can also be used in a service request as well. To do that, go under Admin, search for additional fields. There you get two options. The incident additional fields and service catalog additional fields. So under service catalog additional fields, you've got multiple options. One, you can create a common field which can be shared with multiple templates under service catalog. Another, you can create additional fields which are very specific to a particular category. For example, email aliases is a particular data which is used only under email service category. If that is the case, I can create one under the service category and use it only on the templates under the email service category. Now let us take a look at the incident additional fields. So when I go to create a new incident additional field, there is an option available to share the incident additional field with service request as well. When I do this, this additional field will be available for both incidents as well as service request as a common additional field. So this is how you can create new additional fields and add it to the designer, form designer. Now, after the fields are configured in the designer, there is an option to make a field mandatory or allow a requester to set. If it is an official column which is used only by technician, then the least option of privilege can be given to the end user. So once this option is enabled, they can only view the data in it but cannot make any changes to it. So after the request details section, the next section is resource info. So this section allows you to construct questions. So this form is for a new hire request. In this form, you may have to gather information about the type of machine that has to be given to a user, the additional accessories that has to be given based on the job profile. For example, if he is a designer, you may have to provide him with a multimedia keyboard. Or if he is a developer, you have to provide him with a development environment. So all these can be given as answers to the questions that you construct here. And also different sections of questionnaire can be created and published in the template. So to create a new section and add questions to it, click on Add Resource. And in this section, I can give the title for the new section that I'm going to create. I'm going to make use of human resource as an example. So once the section title is given, the next step is to create questions. I can either choose the available list of questions or otherwise I can build new questions. So my question is going to be type of employee. The answer can be given as a simple yes or no, a drop down, or if it is going to be a multi-select option, then it can be a checkbox. In my case, it's going to be a drop-down menu. So where I can add the different type of employees that you onboard. So once that is done, now this question can be published under the new section that we have created. So that way I can keep adding sections of questions and also populate questions. So this section reduces the email conversations that ideally would happen if you follow the conventional way of dealing with service requests via an incident template or via email or phone calls. Now, once the template is customized, the next step is to create the workflow, for which I'm going to save and configure the workflow section. In the workflow section, the first workflow configuration is about approvals. By default, ServiceDesk Plus supports 5 stages of approval for every service request. And every stage can contain more than one approver. Now let us see how I can populate approvers in the approval configurator. So when I click on the approvers list, it gives me variables. So these variables are created based on the hierarchy of your organization, which is done under the admin, organizational details is the section, and organizational roles. Under the org roles, you can create roles in various levels. The highest level is org level. Then you have got regional level roles, site level roles, and the department level roles. So these are the default roles available out of the box. Say for example, if I want to assign a user for the role CEO, all I have to do is click on the assign symbol here. Once it is done, it gives me a list of users. Now I can choose the user and save. That way, the user John Roberts is assigned with the role of CEO. Now, if I have to trigger an approval email to John Roberts, instead of going with the named user account, which is always changing, I can go with a variable which can be centrally managed from the organizational roles section. Now, to consume this configuration, all I have to do is choose the variable CEO and save. Now, John Roberts has been assigned as the approver for stage 1 with the variable using his role. That way I can create and assign multiple roles with users and consume them in the approval configuration. So this is the first way of assigning a user as an approver. The second method is reporting to. Every user will have a manager, and ServiceDesk Plus can import users from Active Directory. If the Active Directory attribute of the user contains the manager configuration, it will be imported. Now let us take a look at where it will be stored. Under the admin section, under users, let us see the list of requesters. Now I've got one requester. Let me edit his profile. In his profile, you can find the reporting to column. If you have imported the user from Active Directory, this column will be populated with his manager's information. So whenever the guest user raises a new service request, and if the approval email has to be triggered to his reporting to manager, all you have to do is use the variable reporting to. That way, for every user, you can have his manager as the approver, and it can be used in the approval configurator. The third way is using a named user. So all you see here are just variables. Let us assume I want to use a user who does not have any organizational role or doesn't play an organizational role, just a line supervisor, and he has to be given the privilege to approve a service request. If that is the case, edit the user account, scroll down to select permissions section, and enable the option service request approver and save the profile. If that is done, a named user can also be assigned as an approver in the approval configurator. So these are the different ways with which you can configure approval in the service request approval section. Once the approvers are configured, the next is the approval configuration section. So let us assume as soon as a service request arrives to IT, you have to automatically trigger a notification to the approver seeking his permissions. To do that, enable this option. Once it is done, a notification will be triggered to the approver. Now the best part of this is not only an email notification can be sent, it can also trigger a mobile notification if the approver is using a mobile application. ServiceDesk Plus has iPhone application and an Android application. All you have to do is download it from the App Store or Play Store, configure the application, and then you can log into the application and see the status of your requests, take approval actions, and also create new requests. Now there is one more configuration available. No, let us not assign technicians for tickets that are not approved yet. If you want to enforce that, you can make use of this option. Once this option is enabled, automatically the ticket will not be distributed with technician auto assign. Let us take a look at technician auto assign and learn what it is all about. Under admin section, search for technician auto assign and you'll find this feature. Once it is enabled, it will automatically distribute requests to your technicians, making use of round robin or load balancing methods. And this policy can be enforced when a ticket is created, edited, or on both create and edit operations. And also you can restrict when this policy have to be applied. It can work only on unassigned requests, which means if a ticket is created by a technician where a technician field is already populated, then in those tickets this policy will not be applied. And also there is an option to exclude supervisors or support group owners. The managers might not work on the tickets directly, so those technicians can be exempted. And also you've got an option to exclude tickets being distributed making use of technician auto assign with the help of with the conditions of level, priority, etc. So if technician auto assign is enabled and if the rule do not assign technician is checked, the ticket will not be distributed if it is in the unapproved stage. And also you can enforce that all approvers have to take an action, only then a ticket can be considered approved. And there is an option to check rejections as well. If one of the technician has the approver has rejected, then it can still be considered as a rejected request. So these are the options available in the approval configurator. Once the approval is triggered, notification is triggered, sometimes the approvers might miss to respond to the approval notification. The managers are always on the move, so they miss it all the time. So that is where this nifty feature will help you to remind them often. Under the admin section, self-service portal settings, there is an option to set up approval reminders. So this notification, if enabled, will remind the approver to take action after the dates that are configured here, date and time that are configured here. So it will keep trying to send reminders, and after certain number of attempts, it will stop triggering anymore. So with this nifty feature, managers can be notified multiple times and the approval process can be accelerated. The next configuration is building service level agreements for service requests. In ServiceDesk Plus, there are two types of SLAs. If you go to the admin section, search for service level agreements, you will find two. The first one is for incidents, and it is only for the incident requests. Whenever a ticket is submitted with the incident template. So to differentiate the incident and service request template, go under request catalog. You find two types of templates. One is with the exclamation mark, which denotes an incident template. Another one with a hand symbol, which denotes a service request template. The first service level agreement that I showed you will get applied only on the incident templates. But if you want to apply a service level agreement for a service request, then it has to be done in the second section. So let us see how we can create a service level agreement for a service catalog. So under this section, click on Add New SLA. Once that is done, it gives you the form with which you can create and configure an SLA. So I'm going to create one for the new hire. Now in the SLA rules section, you've got two options. One is to enforce the response time. Another one is to enforce the delivery time, the fulfillment time. So for this type of request, I'm going to say the first response has to be given within 6 hours and the delivery has to be given within 3 days. So this policy or rule can be enforced irrespective of operational hours, holidays, and weekends if required, or otherwise it will go by the business operational hours. Now let us take a look at how escalations can be handled when a technician fails to keep up with the response and resolution due by times. So you've got one level of notification, escalation notification for the response time and one level for the resolution times. Now if a technician fails to respond within 6 hours, you can either trigger an escalation notification before the point of violation or after the point of violation. Let us give the technician a chance to respond and meet the response violation time. So I'm going to escalate before 30 minutes, which is from the creation. After 5 hours and 30 minutes is elapsed, a notification is going to be triggered and you can notify the ticket owner who owns the ticket as well as additional technicians if they are the supervisors. So all these three will get a notification and a chance is given to the IT to work on the request and resolve it within the SLA. The same applies for the response violation as well. Now, in addition to just triggering notification, you can also perform additional tasks. When you click on the actions, you see 4 more options. One, you can move the request from one resolver group to another resolver group. So if you have created support groups based on the tier level of a technician, you can move the ticket from one group to another. You can reassign the request from the ticket owner to a different technician. You can increase the priority on the request, as well as you can change the complexity by making the changes to the level. So these are the 4 additional operations that can be performed as a part of the escalation system. Now once the SLA is created, then the SLA can be applied directly on the template. Now I have created the SLA. Let us refresh the workflow. Now I can find the SLA here. All I have to do is choose and apply to this template. So the SLA is stuck to the template. So whenever the template is used, this SLA will be applied by default on the ticket. So this is how I can set the expectation to my end user via SLA. The next feature that we are going to take a look at under the workflow section is creating tasks. Now, when you're handling a huge service request like new hire onboarding, you may have to deal with multiple support teams. An AD account has to be created, an email has to be created. You may have to ask the business application administrators to provide logins for various different business applications, and all those has to be orchestrated centrally from a ticket. And that can be achieved with the work breakdown structure. We call it as tasks. To build a template with task, click on Add Tasks under the Workflow section. And ServiceDesk Plus comes with frequently asked used tasks as templates. So entry in Active Directory is always used in every organization. So we have a template for it. So likewise, you've got different templates that will be handy for you to create tasks, and you can choose the technician to whom the task has to be assigned to. So you've got two options. One, you can directly assign the task or mark this technician to be assigned once the ticket is approved. With this, you can create different tasks and build it into the template. I have built 3 tasks. Now these tasks has to be executed one after another in an orderly fashion. We cannot trigger all the 3 tasks on the same time. If that is the case, that is where you can build dependencies for tasks. By default, this template will have 3 tasks that are starting in parallel to each other. But I can only set up an email account after an Active Directory account is created. So it makes sense to trigger this task after the primary task. Now, it is achieved by making a dependency for email task with the Active Directory. Now I have changed the order of execution. So as soon as the ticket is created, the location will be set up, the Active Directory account is created, and these 2 tasks are started in parallel. But only after the Active Directory account is created, a new email account is set up. That way, with the help of dependencies map, you can build dependencies and create a workflow. So that is with tasks. The next type of automation that we would require is executing work automatically by reading information from the ticket. When you are processing a new hire request, you may have to create an Active Directory account for the user. What if you can do this task automatically? That is where integrations comes into play. ServiceDesk Plus can out of the box integrate with AD Manager Plus, which is an AD management solution from ManageEngine, and also Desktop Central, which is an endpoint management solution from ManageEngine. With AD Manager Plus, you can automate tasks like creating user accounts, handling department movements of a user, termination of a user from the company, etc. Likewise, endpoint tasks such as installation of software, deployment of patches, running scripts in the end user account to allow them to access shared folders can be automated or invoked centrally from ServiceDesk Plus, making use of template actions. Once the products are customized and integrated, you can enable it, and that way these actions will be available in the template. So with the click of a mouse, I can now create accounts in Active Directory or deploy software in the end user's PC silently in the background, even without his knowledge, once the approval is given by his managers. So these are the the workflow options available in the workflow configurator. Now let us see how communication is seamlessly handled, amongst the approvers, task owners, and the technician and requester who are part of the ticket. To configure the notifications, go to the admin page, notification rules, and there you can find a huge list of notifications under the request section. These notifications are available for requesters as well as technicians. Let us assume that I have to notify and acknowledge an end user as soon as a new request is submitted by him. To do that, all I have to do is enable the notification, click on Customize Template, where I can even customize the message that has to be sent back to him. That way, automatically email notifications can be triggered from ServiceDesk Plus, and it keeps everyone informed. The same is available for technicians. Whenever a new ticket is assigned to a technician, I can even send alerts via email and SMS. Speaking about SMS, ServiceDesk Plus also supports SMS Gateway. Under Admin SMS Notification Settings, you've got an option to integrate SMS via gateway providers. Site 24x7 is a service from ManageEngine. You can make use of it, or you can go with Click-a-Tell or bulk SMS. If your provider is different, there is also an option to customize the configuration, making use of post and get REST API methodologies. So that way you can configure SMS gateways and trigger SMS notification directly to technicians and give importance to high priority request if it has to be taken in action with out of the operational hours. Same way, under the notification rules, you will also find notifications for tasks. So whenever a task is assigned to a technician, you can trigger notification, and also the associated entity owners. Task is common across incidents, problems, changes, and projects. So once the task is completed, if you want to notify the parent technician who owns the new hire request, you can enable the rule. That way, as soon as the task is completed by the task owner, a notification will be sent back. So this kind of a clear communication channel will definitely help you to deliver the service in a speedy manner, because communication is all the primary reason for all the lag and delay. So that is checked, and we have ensured that there is a seamless communication in every stage of the request lifecycle. Now let us go back to the template that we are working with. So service catalog, and the service template that we are working with is the new hire one. All right, so we have designed the form, configured the workflow. The next step is to publish the form to the end users. So before speaking about publishing, let me also show you a cool feature that helps you to make the form interactive. It is called as field and form rules. With field and form rules, you can make the application, the form, much more interactive. So you can invoke field and form rules on 3 events: on form load, on field change, and during submission of the ticket. So as soon as the form is loaded by an end user, I don't want to show all the fields and confuse him. Instead, I want to gradually gather the information based on the inputs that he provides. If that is the case, I can create a rule on form load. I'm going to call it hide fields. Now I can choose the condition. So here I don't have any condition. I want to just invoke this rule whenever the form is loaded. So under actions, I got multiple actions that I can perform making use of this rule configurator. I can enable or disable fields, show hide fields, mandate, non-mandate, add options under pick list fields, remove options under pick list fields, Similarly, I can even show or hide the question sections that we have created. And finally, you got the option to set or unset the tasks. So in this example, I'm going to unset the 3 tasks that I have created. That way, when I go to create a new service request for onboarding a new hire, these 3 tasks will be disabled by default. Now, based on the questions answered by the user, I can choose to enable this form one by one. Now, let us also take a look at how it is done. On field change, I'm going to create a new rule. I'm going to call this load fields. Now, in this particular event, I have to choose what field is going to be changed, which will trigger this action. So on field change, I'm going to say type of employee. Now, I have to set the condition as well. So I'm going to say type of employee is not permanent. If the employee is not a permanent employee, I don't want to create the AD account for this user. So I'm going to set the tasks only for setting up a location. Now, whenever I choose the option contract or temporary, only a user location setting up task will be enabled and rest of the tasks will be kept disabled. That can be done. Now, let us see how this works in reality. I'm going to request catalog, user management. Click on the template that we are working with. Scroll down. As you can see, all the 3 tasks are kept disabled by default. Now, as per our rule, once I choose contract employee, the task has to be enabled. And you can see the task has been enabled, as per the rule. So that way, you can give more intelligence to the form. Based on the inputs given by the end users, you can gradually, build or perform actions on the form. Let's go back to the service catalog and work with the same form and see what are the options we have got to further enhance the end user's experience using service catalog. Under field and form rules, on form submit, you can also invoke rules. So let us assume we have an age field or the required date field added to the template. I can even validate the inputs that are given by the end users. So on the submission stage, I can perform validations through scripts. So the field and form rules section also supports writing custom JavaScripts, and we have a easy to use script editor available where there is a lot of help available from the application attributes as well as sample scripts. So you've got a sample script for date validation, building dependencies between additional fields, just like category, subcategory, and items, where it goes to 3 layers. You can build multiple layer of dependencies even with additional fields. You can do numeric validation for age inputs, and you can also do date validation to ensure that the chosen date is always after the creation of service request, creation date of the service request. So once I choose the sample script, I can add the sample script to the script editor, make changes to the script, and deploy it. It will even point out the faults just like a developer environment so that you can correct the script and deploy it. So if you've got a developer who can assist you with this, you can get in touch with them in your office, or otherwise, we also have script masters available in our support team. So if you need some help with the scripts, either with the field and form rules or with triggers, you can always reach out to us. We will help you with the hard part. We will give you the script for your requirements and make it work your way. So that way we can design the form, configure the workflow, set up field and form rules. Once everything is done, go to publish the form to the end user. To publish it, go to the first page, the designer section, click this option, show to requester. Now I have a requirement. The new hire request is always initiated by a manager. So it doesn't make sense for me to show this template to all users in my organization. So what I'm going to do is, I want to show this template only to the managers. To do that, there is a feature in the application which is called user groups. Go to admin section. Under users, you've got user groups as one of the options. Click on it. And this is where you do the magic of scoping or showing the template to selective audience. Click on add new user group. I'm going to call this group as managers. Now the criteria for me is going to be job title. If any of the users job title contains the word manager, which is once again fetched from Active Directory. So when I import users from Active Directory, it is also going to bring his designation and keep it under job title. So if job title contains the word manager, I'm going to group all those users under this container. Once it is done, I've got the new user group. Now let us refresh the form so that we can see the new user group that I have created. So now I've got the option managers as the available user groups. Once it is associated to this user group, now this form will be shown only to the managers in your organization. That way, templates can be shown to select audience based on the site, based on the region, based on the department where a service is being delivered. Likewise, it is also possible to show or hide a template to specialist groups or support groups in ServiceDesk Plus. So not all the technicians will have access to the form. Only to select audience it can be shown, both in technicians as well as end user level. Now let us log in as an end user and see how I can submit a new request with the template that we have created, for which I'm going to the end users portal. Now let us see what are the things that are available for customization in the end users level. Now this form or this page is completely fluid and customizable. My requirement is to show the announcements in the top. I don't want end users to directly go and submit requests. Instead, I want to notify them with announcements first and reduce tickets being created for known outages. That is the case. All I have to do is go to the home page. Under home page, when you log in as an administrator, you get an option to click customize the home page. So two types of customization is available. You can even customize the technician homepage. In my case, I'm going to customize the requesters homepage, which applies to all requesters. Here is where I can configure how the homepage should look. I'm going to do announcements, bring it to the top, give it more focus and priority, choose the real estate that it has to occupy, move and reconfigure, and once that is done, I can take a preview. This preview will show me how it will look to an end user. So as you can see, these are the announcements, sample announcement that my preview is populating for me to give me an idea of how it will apply to the end user. So this is the portal usage, which will be shown to a normal user. And if he is a service request approver, the approval section will be shown here. That way, the complete area of the home page of an end user is customizable, and you can give more focus to the information that is required. So if you want to promote self-help more, then I can make use of solutions and bring it to the top. Now, to create a new service request, click on Service Catalog. Go to User Management, click on the template that we have created, and then submit a new request. Oops, I've got a lot of mandatory fields that I have to fill. Now, once the service request is submitted, generally a notification will be triggered to the approvers. But in this case, I have given wrong information and I have to be given a choice to edit and make changes to it. That is the case, even an end user gets an option to edit with the new version of ServiceDesk Plus. For this demonstration, I've been using ServiceDesk Plus 9.4 build 9404. With this version, we have released a lot of new features, and as a part of the package, you also get an option to give the privilege to an end user to edit and make changes to a service request before it is being approved. That way I can edit, make changes to it, and submit it once again. Okay, so whenever I edit a request, I have to also update the reason for the edit. All right. Now a new ticket has been submitted. Now let us take a look at how this new ticket is available for a technician. So for a technician, the new ticket will be available under Requests section. So this is the one that I have created. A technician can choose to filter incidents and service requests or see in a combined view. And also he can create custom views with conditions and get his tickets filtered out. Now, when a technician is working on the request, there are also a few other collaboration options available with which he can reduce email conversation. Say, for example, this request has to be consulted with another end user or with a senior technician. This can be achieved with share request. When I click on share request, it will take me down to the bottom of the page. So once you click on share, it will give you options to share the request with a technician or a requester. That way you can also choose a requester and share the ticket with them. Any request that is shared will be available to the user under the shared request filter in the request list view. So in the request list view, there is a separate filter for shared requests with which shared requests can be viewed. So with that, I would like to conclude my demonstration of Service Catalog. So I would like to share with you some of the best practices that we have learned with our discussions with customers for the very long time. So whenever you are building a service template, the first thing that you have to do is keep it to the business level. Do not put too many IT jargons on the template. Instead, create a simple business-facing template so that end users will feel the ease to use it. Always configure the authorization, escalation, and notification policies. All these three will work like a triad. So only when you have all these configured, the services can be delivered faster. Make use of additional fields to gather business-specific inputs. So additional fields are available in abundance when you create a service category, service request template. So make use of it to gather inputs, and these fields are once again available for reporting. So any data that you fill in these fields can be run as report, and you can gather gainable knowledge and insights by running reports against it. So don't publish the service templates to all users. Instead, select the user groups to which it has to be shown. That way, you'll have a lean list of templates in the self-service portal. Identify the service owners and assign the tickets to the right service owners for a speedy delivery. And finally, service level agreements. I failed to mention the time, response and resolution times that you have filled in as SLA will be shown to the end user as well as delivery time. So a clear expectation is set with an end user and the transparency is established on when he can expect the services. So that way you can reduce follow-up emails triggered by end users to know the status of the ticket. We'll catch you on the next series, and the next session is on the 26th of April, and we are going to speak a lot about incident management and how you can stop firefighting. Please send back your feedback, if there is any feedback, if you've got any questions, shoot an email to support@servicedeskplus.com. Thank you and have a very good day.